Welcome back to another edition of NNPA and Black Press USA. The program's entitled FIRE, and we're talking today about all things COVID. And joining us is Dr. Toyin Opesanmi, also lovingly known as Dr. O. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm excited. I've been wanting to do this program with you for a while. Really excited to learn all the things that you're doing because, as you can see, a little sign behind you, Medical Monday. There's so many questions around COVID. It's constantly changing. Thanks, Dr. O. It's constantly changing, and there's so much information out there. First, let's start off about your background. So you're a family practitioner. You're also a HIV specialist. And
Correct.
you treat substance abusers. So you really can pretty much treat most people that walk through your doors, correct?
Yes, by the grace of God, yes.
So now let's talk about COVID. First of all, I know that you may think this may be a crazy question. Would you go ahead and define what COVID-19 actually is?
COVID-19, it's a virus. A virus just like the flu virus, hepatitis, like HIV, they're all viruses. So coronavirus is a virus that just became a pandemic, and it happened in 2019. So that started in China. Apparently this epidemic that became pandemic started in China in 2019, so it's COVID-19. COVID for short, coronavirus.
Now, so many people have said that this is nothing new. This is not the first COVID virus. Coronavirus? Is that in fact the case?
That is true. The same coronavirus caused an epidemic in Asia, and we called it SARS then, severe acute respiratory syndrome.
Okay.
But it was limited to Asia, so we didn't worry too much about it. Then a few years ago, we had MERS, also in Asia, from coronavirus. And guess what? Way before now, we had coronavirus that the Dettol, if you're familiar with the Dettol for cleaning, on the Dettol bottle, some people call it Dettol. It has on it that it kills coronavirus. We've had this virus for years. It just became a problem when it had a mutation that became very infectious and became a killer.
So, there's so much going on about COVID-19. Let's talk a little bit about dispelling the myths. Then I want to talk about the vaccines that are out there. I know that you do a Medical Monday program. So I'm inviting everyone that's tuning in. Again, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube. Simply go to NNPA Black Press USA. You'll see FIRE. I'll be there. You can put your questions, your comments to Dr. Coben, and Dr. O, and she'll answer them today. So this is your opportunity to ask whatever you want anonymously if you'd like. And we will send it to Dr. O. That's her name. People lovingly call her Dr. O instead of doing the official long name. So let's talk about some of the myths that Dr. O, you would like to dispel about this virus.
Well, I'll first of all like to say that the virus was not caused by G something or telephone, whatever, and that we don't believe that, in the science world at least, that it was created by someone in China or in conjunction with somebody in the US, or somebody is trying to eliminate a certain number of people or the population. It is not. This is not humanly or manly engineered. This is a virus that mutated like any other virus can do. The flu virus does the same thing. It mutates. Any virus can mutate. Actually, the flu virus kills more people.
And that I heard too. And that's why I'm liking that I'm able to have this Medical Monday on a Thursday.
So I'd like to dispel the myth that this was engineered or created to destroy us or to hurt us, to hurt our race. It is not. Nobody's after us. Viruses are just beasts that tend to mutate every now and then.
What are the top 5 questions that people ask you when they find out that you are a physician? And because you've spoken out so much about COVID as far as educating communities, especially communities of color, what are the questions that are the top 5 that come to mind that people ask you?
Well, right now, since after we have the vaccine, they ask me if they should take the vaccine. And they ask me if the vaccine itself has something in it that would track us, like a tracker. They also ask me about what the myth I just, tried to dispel, that it was engineered and engineered to destroy our race. So to answer the question that should you take the vaccine, yes, you should. To answer the question that is, again, is it engineered to hurt us? No, it is not.
So, Dr. O, how do you, I mean, we can't, the elephant in the room, so to speak, is the fact that African Americans know the history with the medical profession here in the US and the Tuskegee experiments and other things that have happened, maybe not nationally televised, but the fear that it brings in African Americans trusting the government with something like this, and especially with the president that was in office at the time, just was conflicting information. What do you think has been or would be a great way of just making more minorities feel comfortable with taking the vaccine?
Oh, that's a tough one, because Tuskegee is fresh in every one of our memories. Sad. However, thank God that a lot of us are now in medicine, and I hope that we will trust each other and we will believe in each other, that we are not after destroying our race in any way. The vaccine does not have anything to track us. It is not, as far as we know, it is not engineered to experiment. The vaccines are made to help us combat coronavirus, COVID-19, and to keep us alive. That being said, we don't know the long-term effect of any of the vaccines. The manufacturers, the researchers cannot come out and say, we know the long-term effect. We do know that they were, we know how they were made. We know that in the massive number of people that have been vaccinated, they are reasonably safe. That we know. And I would encourage people who qualify in different states as they qualify to take it.
So, Dr. O, you said something, and I think that I'm not the only one that heard when you said that. The main issue for many people, even the friends and associates on my social media, when I, announced that we were going to talk about all things COVID today, the comment that you just made is we don't, meaning the medical world, scientists do not know the long-term effect on this, right? That to so many people is concern. It's not as I don't want to use the word as a Russian roulette, but it's, what it usually takes 10, 15 years to really see how a large population will deal with this. That's one of the things I think most people concerned about. One of the things, which I just had a text came in, so every now and then you'll see me look down because different people on social media are responding. Their concern is about children, 16, 17, their child, 16, 17, and 18, taking the vaccine. The big question has been about what it may do to the reproductive system.
So, like I said, we don't know the long-term effect, but think of any medication that we take in medicine. One day, a manufacturer produces a medication, they do research on people, on animals first, then on human beings, and ascertain safety, then they roll it out to the public. when it gets into the public, we prescribers follow what symptoms our patients may develop or what reactions they may have, adverse effects, what have you, to the new medication. And then we report it. Sometimes it is after it comes into the market, when more people are exposed to the medication, that we find out that, oh, it causes headache in most people, it causes GI symptoms or something that actually they didn't see during the research period. So the vaccine is like a new medication. The vaccines are new vaccines, and they're like new medications that we all get exposed to every now and then, normally. So why is there such a big thing about this? Is because COVID is a killer. COVID-19 is indeed a killer. It had killed so many people. And some people will make the argument that if you look at the number of people who have been infected with COVID, have positive COVID testing, that only about 2% actually die. That 2% is a lot. It's significant if it is your family member, a friend, or somebody you know. But if you look at the large scheme of things, it may seem like a small number. So to answer your question, I can see why people are, skeptical people, my color, our people, but I would say that this is what we have right now. And since the vaccines have been given out to the millions of people that have received it, we've seen decrease in hospitalization. We've seen a decrease in death, 21% decrease in death. However, something is very troubling. As of yesterday, we plateaued at about 63,000 positive tests a day. That is still very high. We've plateaued at a high number. I heard today that the numbers has gone up again.
What is that saying, Dr. O? Because I believe as of yesterday, 150 million Americans have already received at least one dose of the vaccine.
Yes. And after that, those people, plus those who have actually contracted COVID and developed antibodies, that is protection, some protection against COVID, we've seen, like I said, decreased hospitalization and decreased death. So what does it mean, what I just said? What I just said means we need to still take precautions. We need to wear a mask, maintain 6 feet, physical distancing. We can socialize. We're socializing right now. We can party on Zoom, on Google. It's socialization. We still chat. We do birthday parties now on Zoom. But let's maintain those physical distancing.
So Dr. O, as you were talking, I'm sure you saw a couple of pop-ups. So one of the pop-ups were that Blacks are being given different vaccines than whites. So I'm sure you've heard that before.
I've heard it. I have not seen it. I encourage people to take the vaccine available to you. The vaccines that have been available widely has been the Pfizer and Moderna.
Right.
Johnson & Johnson in some places. That has not been as widespread as Pfizer or Moderna. I have not seen that Black people are being given a certain one. I've not seen that yet. And I'm following closely what is happening in different areas.
So let me ask you, as a physician, a woman of color, is there a group or meeting that other Black physicians get together and just have discussions about this, or just keeping them up to date? Because it is a concern. And I'm not saying it's true or false. I'm just saying that if it's something that people are concerned about, I at least want to be able to talk about it and help address it. Now, everyone has the right to decide if they're going to take the vaccine or not. I was hesitant, but I have elderly parents. I have a young daughter. I have a godchild that's a baby. So, I've taken the first one. Mine was a Pfizer one, and I actually did it live on camera. So, and I am a person, anyone who knows me, I'm not a medicine person. I don't even have aspirin in my house. So that was a huge step for me to take. But longevity and thinking about long term and not making anyone else sick, and being concerned about this B117 variant that seems to be really, what I think, 55% more fatal than the COVID-19. That's a really scary thought.
Yes. To answer your first question, we do have different forums where physicians meet and talk.
Okay.
We actually bring, we rotate who will be speaker one time or the other, and we share facts and we compare notes. It's COVID-19 is a learning curve. We're still learning this virus. There's still so much unknown about it. And yes, we are doing that. It's great that you took the vaccine. And for people who are still on the edge, I'll say it's okay. I encourage everyone to do what they feel comfortable doing. We're still learning this vaccine. We're still learning the coronavirus. There's still a lot to learn.
And Dr. O, it is important for us to stress, for those who do choose to take the vaccine, that does not mean the mask comes off. That does not mean the washing of the hands stop. It does not mean that you don't keep the 6 feet until we can basically, I don't know if I'm going to say the herd immunity, but until we have enough people that have been vaccinated and that it's not continuing to be at these numbers that you just talked about. That's important to state as well.
Yes.
After
as I mentioned before.
Go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry, doctor.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, you definitely still need to continue wearing your mask and maintaining physical distancing. Again, you can socialize on social media as we're doing, and you can get creative. If you don't know how to get creative, give me a buzz. We'll knock heads together. I love to party, and I love to think of new things. So we can do that. And hand washing, sanitizing is also important. Some states are opening up fully, like Georgia.
Oh, yes.
It's like you mentioned, we have to talk about the UK variant.
Yes.
The UK variant is much more infectious. The experts were saying that by the end of March, it will be the predominant strain in the US, and they were right on the money. They're right. That's now the predominant strain. It's more infectious, it's deadlier, but thank God, the vaccines do cover it. And that's a good thing.
That is a very good thing. And I think I want to take a second during this program. And again, for those that are tuning in and watching, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, you are welcome to, in the chat, put a comment or question for Dr. O, and we will answer it for you. But I really want to commend physicians like yourself. This has been a really tough time, even for you. You had a year where you had people in government or leadership that didn't support the science or believe in the science, or if they believe in it, they didn't say it out publicly. So it was a whole year of people getting mixed messages, and these predictions from Dr. Fauci on down, you were right on the money. And again, it is a virus. It's you have variants, so you may not be the exact date, but I tell you, I have been really following it, obviously as a news journalist, to see these benchmarks that were happening. And it only seems to support the fact of us doing what we can do to get back to some level of normalcy. So I commend all of the doctors and nurses and physicians and internists that are going and giving of their time. And I just cannot even imagine if they're even sleeping fully, because this has been going on for well over a year. We're close to a year and a half, but well over a year. And it has to be tiring. So really kudos to all of you that are doing your part on educating those that have some level of hesitancy. And there's nothing wrong with it, but we want to answer the questions so that we can make people feel comfortable with the information, and then they can decide what's the best for them and their family.
You're right. And thank you. I say thank you. I give a shout out to all the frontline workers, all doctors, actually. This has been a year and some months of is all I can say.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Because we started the telemedicine. We work and then get home. Now, you get home and you still telemedicine. You're still seeing patients. Why are you seeing patients? Because they are anxious. They're scared. And you don't want them to stay scared till the next day. Some people don't even have COVID, but the anxiety of getting out of their homes,
Sure.
the mental health issues that has now been associated with COVID, there's so much. So yes, thank God for healthcare workers. And it's such an unfortunate thing that we didn't jump on this on time. In the United States, we have the skills, we have the tools, we have the know-how that we could have done better. But you know what? We are where we are now. And thank God for the Biden administration and for rolling out the vaccine, for the efforts, for everything being done. I saw something that popped up that said that learning curve equals experiment. Well, we are not experimenting. Trust me,
Okay.
nobody is experimenting with the vaccines or with COVID-19. Learning curve that I meant is that we are learning as the virus is mutating to combat it, to do the best we can with it. We have to learn along because this is a new virus. It's not behaving like the usual viruses that we've been used to in the world around. Someone may have chest pain, fever, shortness of breath after they contracted COVID. Some people would have reflux. I've had patients who all their symptom was reflux that nothing could touch. And the ones that are like that have had reflux before they contracted COVID. And then when they have COVID, the reflux just went off the chain.
Okay.
And until we administer things like steroid, the conventional treatments for it, we find out that we can't really abort those symptoms. So that's what I meant by learning curve. We are not doing experiments on this though. But I want to also say thank you to Femi, who thinks I'm so beautiful. Thank you. Grace of God.
That is the awesome thing. And I appreciate you making that clarity. And this is what the program's all about. I encourage, again, if you have a comment or a question, now is the opportunity. Dr. O can answer it, can address it. And you have the opportunity in a non-confrontational way of getting the information from a licensed physician, which is really, really important. You talked a little bit, Dr. O, about Pfizer and Moderna. That's the one I've been hearing about. I have heard a little bit with Johnson & Johnson. We know that there was an issue at one of the Baltimore plants with 15 million doses. So I know people are hesitant about that one shot, and I think it's only 78% efficacy. So what are your thoughts?
Well, Johnson & Johnson in Baltimore, their plant in Baltimore, apparently some ingredients were mixed into the vaccine that should not have been mixed, but thank God it was caught. Nobody was given the vaccine that they should not get, and that was aborted. The beauty of Johnson & Johnson is that it's one shot, and it is stored in normal refrigerator temperature, like most vaccines. Unlike Moderna and Pfizer, that require sub-zero temperatures. So if they're rolling out the vaccines to clinics, for instance, to give, Johnson & Johnson will be easier to store and to give in the clinic setting. In order to give it anywhere, you have to give Pfizer or Moderna anywhere, you have to have the appropriate storage, the sub-zero temperatures. But Pfizer and Moderna are 94% efficacious, protective against the virus. But Johnson & Johnson in the United States is actually only 73% protective. But in Europe, the research done in Europe is actually 68% protective. So I don't know why the discrepancy is actually not the same. So you have to take each person individually. There are pros and cons. Pfizer had come out after the two people who developed severe allergies to Pfizer vaccine in the UK. The first week they started giving it, they came out and said, if you have severe allergies, don't take Pfizer vaccine. So if you have severe allergies and you cannot take Pfizer vaccine, your choice of vaccine may then be Johnson & Johnson. because both Pfizer and Moderna are mRNA vaccines. So you have to look at the scenario and see what is best for each person. When something is 73% protective, it means 73% of the time, if you're exposed to the virus, you won't get it. It's better than 0%. It's better than not having anything. So,
so can we talk a little bit about AstraZeneca? Because I know that the FDA has not approved it to be here. There are a lot of issues or stories that we're hearing about it abroad. What are you hearing as a physician about AstraZeneca?
AstraZeneca had problems from the beginning, but they overcame the problem. I know they stopped their research at one time and then they continued again. It is 50% protective. It's easily stored, just like Johnson & Johnson, and it's one shot. So those are positives, but only 50% of the time will somebody be protective or protected if they take the AstraZeneca vaccine. The new things that is troubling now is that we're seeing rare blood clots. It is rare, but blood clots in people who take the vaccine. And they see the blood clots in the brain and in tissues all over the body. So they're recommending that people below age 30 don't take it or what have you. The problem is we don't have it here. We don't take AstraZeneca here, so a blessing to us. But guess what? All African countries, a lot of Asian countries, and many other countries have only AstraZeneca as a choice of vaccine.
Wow.
So what happens there?
Right.
So what do you do? These are questions now that are being asked, and time will tell. Short time will tell what happens. But that's the problem with AstraZeneca and other countries other than us.
So Dr. O, then that goes to the question where some people are saying that the US is buying up all of the medicine with the high efficacy and leaving other countries with nothing or just a 50% chance of working vaccine.
That is an unfair statement. Totally unfair. The reason why AstraZeneca is the choice the choice the Africans have made is, take for instance, Nigeria, where I'm originally from. Electricity is unstable. Okay. So how are they going to keep a sub-zero temperature vaccine in that setting? It's easier to store a vaccine that is stored in the refrigerator. And so they made the choice, and it's cheaper. They made the choice for AstraZeneca. The United States did not make that choice. And if I saw this correctly, which I think I did, President Biden rolled out billions of dollars to assist other countries in getting vaccine as soon as he came into office the first week. So what should the United States do? Not take care of its own? So I don't think that's a fair statement, seriously.
I love that I can just ask you that. One of the things when we said this interview, you're like, Taylor, you can ask me anything. And Dr. O, I just think it's important that we ask these questions, because sometimes you'll hear someone make an accusation, but you never get a chance to hear a necessary response. And there's so many things that you've touched upon. We've talked about the virus. We've talked about the vaccines. I think we even talked about minors. There are some concerns about that. Any advice that you would have for a patient or a person who would come to you and say, I have a 16 or 17 or 18-year-old, should I have them vaccinated? Because I think so many people were thinking in the very beginning that for some reason whites weren't getting it and little children weren't getting it. And of course, we have definitely know that they're in the number of people that we've unfortunately lost to this terrible, deadly virus.
That's an excellent question. Our youth. It's important because initially, children were not getting COVID, they said, or when they get it, they don't have symptoms. In fact, in the beginning of COVID, I remembered around February, April, May last year, we were asking grandmothers to stay away from their grandchildren. That don't bring the grandchildren to visit grandmothers and grandfathers, because the children may have COVID, have no symptoms, infect the grandparents, who end up having severe symptoms or dying. Well, tables have turned. Now children are getting COVID more than the more than the elderly people and older folks. Why? Because of vaccine. We started off vaccinating the older people as well as healthcare workers. So now the older people are not getting as much COVID, which we see why the hospitalization rate went down also. It makes sense. And the death rate went down. But children are now getting it more because they go out to games, sporting events, they don't wear masks, and they're not vaccinated. Pfizer did their research on 16-year-olds and older. They had 200 and I think it was 232 or something, 200 and something 16-year-olds that they had in their research. And the vaccine was approved for that age, 16 and up. A research was just completed by Pfizer on 12-year-olds to 15-year-olds. And they were 100%, not 90%, not 94% protected, but 100% protected.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
That research was just completed. And so stay tuned, because now I think we'll be able to vaccinate down to 12-year-olds. And new research is now starting. I believe they're going to start research down to 6 months. It makes sense.
I have to ask you, what is that like to volunteer to have your child at 6 months who can't really speak to you and take part in trials like this? Is it normal are they normally paid?
Well, people are usually paid when they participate in research studies.
Wow.
So I guess it's an individual, a personal decision, and people enroll in researches for different reasons.
Sure.
It's personal.
Sure.
Is what I said.
I've got a question that came in. Where can a person find resources to help answer questions about people about the COVID-19 vaccine? Questions about coronavirus or COVID-19. Do you have any resources that you can share with people in regards to questions about that?
The CDC website.
Okay, great.
The CDC website is updated frequently, and they give us the new and up-to-date. I'll tell you something. CDC came up a few weeks ago and said that we should reduce, we can reduce physical distancing to 3 feet.
Yes, everyone heard that.
Oh, but guess what? That has changed.
Wait,
Go back.
and this is why I want to have. Okay, so please repeat that.
Go back, please, to your 6 feet distancing.
Really?
CDC, please go back to the CDC website, and now they say maintain 6 feet distancing. Let's keep our 6 feet distancing. Wear your mask and good hand washing. Sanitize if you don't have soap and water available, regardless of your status. If you had been vaccinated or if you had been infected and recovered, regardless of any of that, please keep on the mask and do the needful.
Because schools responded to that, and they started talking about being able to allow more students to attend classes because the 3 feet distance had changed. So now I'm glad that you've clarified that the CDC has realized, because we have this variant, I'm sure, coming in here, let's just stick with the 6 feet, washing the hands for 20 seconds with warm soapy water, correct? I think that's important.
Yes.
Some people just get their hands wet. I'm a compulsive hand washer. And now it's even worse. It's even worse now because I'm literally washing my hands all the time.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
my
excellent.
skin is not too sure about that, but yes, I think it just drinks up lotion and anything oil. So what are ways to manage stress and emotions during this time? I know that you deal with people that have substance abuse, and you're a family practitioner. What are the advice that you give to people, because this is stressful, even for a person who thinks they have it all together?
I encourage good diet.
Hmm,
This is
okay.
an opportunity to do your own cooking and know what you are eating.
Yeah.
You know, good
Yeah.
diet and
Yes.
exercise. Some people are scared to even go out for walks. If you are, walk 30 minutes in your house. 30 minutes. If you're going to go up and down the stairs, if you're going to take the longest length of any area in your home and go back and forth and do 30 minutes, exercise, read, start reading articles, nothing about COVID,
Right. That'll make it worse, right?
but romantic novels, scriptures. I love studying the Bible. I love reading and studying the Bible. You can do that. Read and socialize on social
Virtual.
media, Zoom,
Right.
virtually. Do the virtual socializing. I don't use that word social distancing. No, we are animals of social. So we are social animals. We love
Yes.
to socialize. It's
Yes.
physical distancing that we need to maintain. Socialize virtually. Talk to your friends.
So, Dr. O, am I being a little bit eccentric about, so people are getting out to restaurants. I'm not ready to go in, but I commend those who feel comfortable. And I know, by the way, God bless all the restaurant workers and managers. They've really gone above and beyond to make people feel comfortable. I love what I saw in Virginia over the weekend and the District of Columbia, what they're doing with restaurants. They're putting on the sidewalks and they have some igloos and some really creative ways of kind of isolating couples or groups that come to dine. But for me, when I go to the drive-through, which is not often, I literally wear a mask, even ordering from the microphone, because some people aren't wearing the mask. I don't know. So does the virus stay in the air? How does this all work? I need to understand that.
Taylor, thank you so much for doing that. I have to commend you and I have to say thank you, because when you wear your mask talking to somebody, you are protecting them. You are protecting yourself also, but you are protecting them. So thank you. It is important to wear the mask now because coronavirus, COVID-19, is a respiratory virus. It's airborne. So say somebody is sneezes, somebody is talking, you can expel the virus if you have it and infect somebody inadvertently. So thank you for doing that, for wearing your mask even when you're ordering food in a drive-through.
Can we have our windows down when it's a nice warm day without our mask in our cars and we're driving?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes, please.
You're like, yes, please. That fresh air over the weekend. Oh my goodness. It's just like, you know how you see the dog with the head out the window? I felt like that. But anyway, I just thought that was neat. Now, you talked a little bit about telehealth. Can we talk about how this might be a great way to get medical attention without actually going into an office environment?
Telehealth is fantastic, but it's limiting.
Okay.
It has its limitations. 80% of diagnosing is medicine. When you listen, 80% of diagnosing is listening to your patient, give you a good history. That's why history is important. That's why when you go in to see a doctor and you say you have a headache, for instance, the doctor would ask you like 100 questions surrounding the headache, because they want to hone in on that headache, figure out what kind of headache it is, and when you get it and stuff like that, so they can know how to treat it.
I just have a
You can
disclaimer.
do that. Sorry?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish reading.
You can do that in telehealth easily. But when it comes to, touching, checking temperatures, and, I actually tell my patients, do you have a thermometer? Check your temperature while I'm sitting there. Do you have a scale? Check your weight. Check your blood pressure. we can do stuff like that. But there are things that you need to, touch beyond seeing that you cannot do with telemedicine. You cannot do labs across the screen. And stuff like we have devised, ways to even order labs on our patients electronically and have them to go to the lab that is close to them to go get it done. But, I think telemedicine is here to stay. I think this is going to be, if not, part of medicine, part of what we do. And I think it's a good thing. Reimbursement needs to increase, though, because insurances don't pay physicians that much for telemedicine, whereas sometimes we spend a lot of time with the patient. Patient is at home, they're comfortable at home,
Right.
so they keep you on for God knows when, and you're not reimbursed for that time. So that is to change, because I think it's a great part of medicine.
Very important. I want to, for those that are just tuning into NNPA Black Press USA, our FIRE program, our guest is Dr. O. She's a family practitioner. She is an HIV specialist, and she also treats substance abusers. I also want to let you know that I know we talked a little bit, again, as she mentioned about the Biden administration. She does not work for the Biden administration. So her comments were just as a private family practitioner and who treats patients on her own and isn't affiliated with any government organization. I just want to make sure that we made that clear, that you were just speaking as a doctor, not for any administration or any governmental agency. So
and that is correct. Thank you so much, Michael.
You're welcome. This is about informing people, and I'm really excited that we can have this. I mean, oftentimes when people talk to me and they're not in the medical profession, I'm just like, before you say something, really have information. So instead of playing doctor, we've got a doctor right here. Any questions, any concerns that you may have, please put it in the chat. We'll ask Dr. O. And if she can't answer it, I'm sure she can direct us to where we can get an answer. Dr. O, are there any surprising results as far as side effects that you've heard in regards to someone getting the vaccination?
Oh, yes. I've had a few.
Okay.
Johnson & Johnson, I just read something about, actually, Michael is my medical student who put that up. He knows me very well. He was actually the one who brought that to me, that somebody got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and their skin began to peel. If you think about it, the skin is the largest organ in the body. Okay. So we're talking about peeling massively. It can be deadly because, they can get infected. And, that was something that was seen. We talked about AstraZeneca with the blood clots that is rare, but it's occurring in some people. With the Pfizer vaccine, people with severe allergies should not get it because of those two women in Britain the first week that they rolled out the vaccine in London, in the UK. We've seen a physician in Florida who got the vaccine, and I think it was Pfizer, and just lost all his platelets. Platelets is the substance in the body that causes the body to form clots, and he didn't have any, and so there has been some reactions to the vaccines. But if you consider the number of people that have taken it, most people do well. A lot of people have the injection site reaction, meaning that in that spot where the vaccine is given, people they have pain, they can have swelling or redness around the area, but it clears quickly in a matter of days. Some people would have fever, chills, they may be fatigued after the vaccine, but that is important. It is actually something like serum sickness, which is the body sees this foreign thing. What the vaccine does in the body is it emulates the spike proteins that COVID produces in somebody's body when they infect the person. And so the vaccine emulates it. The body sees that and say, oh, whoa, I don't want this, and fights against it. and develops, what we call antibodies, which are protective substances against the virus. So in the process of doing that, people will get symptoms like COVID symptoms, like fever, the fatigue, the chills, and they say they feel bad. Some people get worse symptoms when they get the second dose than the first
I
dose.
did hear that.
But that's because, they are developing those immunities that we covet, that we want them to develop. I saw a question way before that was asking, how long does the immunity last?
That is a very good question, because I've heard a little bit of different things from that. So what have you heard? What's the latest thing that you've heard in regards to how long it protects a person?
Yeah, and I like the way the question is asked. It said, how long does immunity last in a fully vaccinated person? Because when you get the first shot, we've seen people who develop COVID and they get scared and all that. It's because you have not actually mounted the immunity that you need. After that first shot, you need the second one. So after somebody gets the second one, we really don't know yet how long that immunity would last. This is not experimentation, but I told you it's a learning curve. We have to see. People have to be followed for us to know. COVID vaccine also is going to be a yearly vaccine, just like the flu vaccine, for obvious reasons, because the virus mutates and the new mutations have to be covered. And they have to be covered in new vaccines that you will get the following year. So time will tell. We'll be able to help us answer questions like how long the immunity will last. Even for people who have contracted COVID that have antibodies, we're still following them. I do antibody testing on my patients all the time. They come in because we want to know how long the antibodies will last in them, how long the immunity will last in them. In MERS and SARS, the antibodies people got when they were infected lasted 1 to 3 years.
Wow. I heard that with the virus, I'm not sure, nothing official, that it may be a 5-month period. I'm not sure if that's changed or if there's any definitive time on how long a person may be protected.
Actually, there was a study that came out of Colombia last year around summer that was really scary, that showed that some people would lose their antibodies, their immunity to COVID after they've contracted COVID within 2 months. That has not been my personal experience. In my practice, my patients have held on to their antibodies for at least a year. So we'll see. Time will tell.
So for people who, let me actually read this one first. Dr. O, is there any preparation a person can do before he or she takes the vaccine and after receiving the vaccine? Thanks, Full.
Excellent question. Yes. Please take Tylenol at least within an hour before, and you can continue to take it, after, like every 6 hours after, as you need it. But Tylenol, not ibuprofen, not Advil, not any of naproxen or anything, not those NSAIDs.
Okay.
Tylenol.
All right, very important to know. And someone told me to move my arm. It was about 8 hours after I had the shot. It was slightly tender, but other than that, I had no other issues. It's the second shot that'll be coming up next week that I will see, how I respond to that. But there's no live virus in it. So can we dispel that myth as well, right?
That's right. None of the vaccines have live virus. In fact, the Moderna and the and Pfizer vaccines don't have any virus in them at all. They are mRNA vaccines. They were made following the sequence of the COVID virus itself and the targeted areas that need to be targeted to make the vaccine. Some people said, Pfizer came out, or is it Moderna, came out with their vaccine 2 months, in 2 months. Yes, they can. And yes, they did, because they made it out of the sequence. They saw what the virus is made of, and they were able to target what needs to be targeted to make the vaccine. That's why. Now, Johnson & Johnson is made out of adenovirus, but it is not live virus. It is dead virus.
You know, that was the thing. If you're not a medical person, if you're not in the medical field, just understanding that, you can understand for a lay person would be overwhelming to say, wait a minute, how did you do this? You know, so yes, that was really good that the information eventually got out. I'm not sure if it changed everyone's mind about it, but yes.
Yes. Thank you. And go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dr. O.
No, you go ahead. It's all right.
Dr. O, you do a program called Medical Mondays. Can we hear about that? And where can people follow you on Monday? Because you talk about all things, not just COVID, but anything medical. So where can they follow you? What time?
Well, Medical Mondays with Dr. O is every Monday at 7 p.m. And it's on Zoom. And yes, you can ask any question you want. And we bring specialists and talk about anything. In fact, we can have a topic. If you have questions like on COVID, we will answer it. You can get on it through Zoom or email Medical Mondays with Dr. O, DRO, @gmail.com. And we'll send you the link. Medical Mondays with Dr. O, that's DRO, @gmail.com.
What did you do this week? What was the topic this week?
We did diet, dental, and sleep.
Oh.
It was amazing. I learned so much. I changed my bedtime.
Wait a minute. So okay, give us a snippet. So what should we know? That snippet.
Well, we learned that a lot of us have jaws. We brought a dentist, Dr. Ajagbe, is actually here on this forum tonight. That the jaw is underdeveloped in most people. And so you will notice some people start having crowding in their teeth as they grow older. And that is why. So you get braces, you fix it, you get retainers. When you stop using retainers, they start crowding again. And that's because of the jaw. And it actually affects sleep also.
Really?
Yes. So some people, you know, so it talked a lot about that. And then, you know, diet. People who, you know, if you don't take care of this issue and you start losing your teeth, then you can't chew very well. Like people who have no teeth. And if you can't chew well, you're swallowing your food, it affects you on the long run.
And so you said something about going to bed early. So
yes, and then sleep. You know, so sleep is important, and you know that, you know, if you don't have adequate sleep, you know you become groggy and all the next day. That's you. Or if you have been sleep deprived for a while, it causes a lot of things: high blood pressure. You know, it causes lung problems, you know, heart problems, and different things like that. So we talked about the fact that the brain cleans itself out in sleep. And that's a new finding that was found not too long ago, about 6-7 years ago. And in sleep, when it cleans itself out, you need a certain amount of sleep, a certain amount of hours. And that is different for each individual. However, yes, the number of hours you sleep is different from each individual. But something is also important: schedule. You have to have a routine.
Oh.
If you go to bed at 10, make it 10. You wake up at 6. Wake up at 6. If you go to bed at 3 and you wake up at 7, keep it that way. Routine is very important.
Wow.
So we talked about those things in detail. And I combined this last week with the week before because I had to, for you to get the full gist of it.
I love that. Medical Mondays with Dr. O. Now, I want to jump back real quick with a COVID question because I wanted to know, I was at a store and the gentleman had told me he had COVID and he said, well, my doctor told me I only need to have one vaccine, even though it was a 2-shot vaccine. What are you hearing in regards to the medical profession? If someone has had COVID, should they take the vaccine? Is there a particular one they should take? Do they still do the 2 shots?
That's an excellent question. Yes, they should still take the vaccine, but yes, they should still take the 2 shots. I don't know why they'll be advised not to take the 2.
It's just what he said. I just wanted to see if anyone else may have heard that with someone else. Oh, Dr. O, real quick. Dr. O, can you explain what DNA, RNA sequencing is related to the vaccine?
Okay, I'll make it very simple. The AstraZeneca vaccine is made out of DNA. It's a DNA vaccine. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are mRNA vaccines. Like I said, they looked at the sequence of the virus and they created the vaccine to make these messenger RNAs that would then make the spike protein to imitate the virus in the human body, to imitate what the virus would do in the human body. The virus, causes a spike protein, and that's what that's what that does. So that's making it very simple.
And Dr. O, I know that you're here in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. How can someone reach out to you? Because again, you are a family practitioner, you deal with people who have substance abuse, and you're an HIV specialist. So how can someone reach out to you and perhaps contact you for what you do, your family practice?
By calling our office, 410-528-6003.
Would you say it again for us?
Oh, 410-528-6003. Also, we have a website, www.genmed.com. Simple.
Great. www.genmed.com. As we close out this phenomenal interview with you, Dr. O, can you give us some words of encouragement, as we enter the middle of 2021 and hoping that July 4th will be a great period for the country to celebrate, maybe taking off their mask a little bit? What advice can you give to us?
First of all, I want to encourage us not to be anxious. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, we should make our request known to the Lord. Anxiety kills. Anxiety decreases immunity. So please don't be anxious. Wear your mask, maintain physical distancing, and good hand washing. If you don't have soap and water around you, sanitize, and also take the vaccine if it's available to you. And let's listen to our medical experts. They are working hard round the clock to know how to advise us as to next steps. Yes, we hope that July 4th we'll be able to take off our mask and enjoy each other. However, we have to do these needful things to be able to get there. So I would say we should still hang in there a little bit longer and make sure that we eradicate this virus before taking off the mask.
Wonderful guest, Dr. Toyin Opesanmi, lovingly known as Dr. O. You have been so insightful. I'm going to have to bring you back on before the summer is over. I mean, we're in spring now, but I'm going to bring you back before summer is completed because I'm sure there's going to be an update. We need to talk more about how we get into the winter months because I heard that we do need to prepare for that. Am I correct, Dr. O?
Yes, we do. The winter months, we have COVID-19 now and we have the flu.
Yes.
So the influenza, so we need to prepare.
Well, Dr. O, I cannot thank you enough. And again, Medical Mondays, here's the information. Her office number is 410-528-6003. Or if you want more information, you can go to GENN-med.com. Medical Monday. Also, you can email Medical Monday Switch dro@gmail.com. Dr. O, thank you so much for your time and your information. That will do it for today's edition of Fire here on NNPA Black Press USA. Dr. O, again, thank you so very much and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem. Until next week, everyone. God bless and goodbye.
Bye.